friends, welcome to another fun-filled episode of Attorney Session Reacts. I'm your host, Attorney Marcus Session. Today's video, I don't want her touching him. Father blocks black superintendent from shaking hands with his daughter during high school graduation. As always, please like and subscribe, help me to get these numbers up, and help me to beat the algorithm. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, everything was somewhat explained in the opening, but here you have a black superintendent in the great state of Wisconsin who's at a graduation, and apparently the young Caucasian girl, her father doesn't want her shaking hands with this black superintendent, so he, decides to take matters into his own hands, vigilante style, Batman style. So let's watch the video, and I'm going to bring up 3 points after this, and we're going to close this baby out.
Oh. Where's Brandon?
Get away from me, bro. Hey, no. Hey, go. You need to get hey. Right now. I don't care.
That way, Michael. No. Where's Brendan? Who's there? Okay. Who's up?
So I like how they tried to resume things like normal as soon as it was over, which, what else could they do at that point? Of course, the dad is out of line, regardless of whatever reasons you have. From what I was told reading, it was a racial reason, right? It's definitely out of line, right? So, of course you can have your own convictions. You can feel free to be however you want. Racist doesn't bother me. That's how you want to be. You're in a free country. You can be racist, but when you allow it to manifest in your actions, that's when it becomes a problem, right? So the second point I'm going to make, okay, what are the legal implications for this father? There's 4 ways you can go about this. There's assault and battery in terms of legal charges. There's assault and battery in terms of a civil lawsuit. And of course, we know that anything civil, it's about money, right? The person, the injured party, is looking to recover financially for the harms done to them. When we're talking about civil assault and battery, if the superintendent plans on suing the dad for money, and I heard he's had a restraining order put on the father already, right? So if he's suing the father for money, then the plaintiff, which is the superintendent, will have to prove that the defendant acted with the intent to cause an imminent apprehension of a harmful or offensive contact. And as a result, an apprehension occurred. That apprehension doesn't mean that the superintendent was placed in fear. It simply means that he was able to see it coming, and it placed him in a state of apprehension, right? I'm bracing for it. I'm getting ready for it. I see the father coming. Obviously, by the looks of this, he saw the father coming. Under civil assault, the superintendent probably can recover. What the superintendent would have to prove for civil battery is that the defendant father acted with the intent to cause a harmful or offensive contact, and that harmful or offensive contact indirectly or directly happened as a result. Now, criminal assault and criminal battery are sort of the same, but they differ slightly. We're talking about charges being pressed on the father by a local law enforcement agency. The state would have to prove that the father had the intent to commit serious harm, and by doing so, place someone in fear of an immediate harm. And mind you, I'm just speaking in general what most states view, or what most states have on the books, as assault and battery. The elements may vary from state to state. In terms of criminal battery, what the state would have to prove is that there was an unlawful application of force to another person, right? So was the application of force used by the father when pushing the superintendent off the stage, was that application of force enough to be considered unlawful, right? And so He could be found guilty of battery and assault. He could be found liable for battery and assault under a tort legal theory of assault and battery. That's the second thing I want to discuss, the legal implications that this father placed himself in by doing this. Like, why would you want... Anyways, the third thing I want to discuss is racism. I've worked with young people for a long time. Like, prior to, becoming an attorney, I worked in education for 16 years. As a school administrator, I was able to see a lot. Racism for kids doesn't exist, in my experience, doesn't exist how it used to exist for us. These kids nowadays pretty much care about who you are as an individual. Race is probably the last thing on their minds when considering whether or not they're going to befriend someone or whether or not someone is a part of their clique. I've seen these kids get together, white kids, black kids, Asian kids, Hispanic kids, all get together. They're all using racial terminology. And I'm not saying it's good, and I'm not saying it's condoned by any means. But they don't care. They don't see a difference in one another as we saw it growing up, and even as my parents' generation saw it growing up. For the father, and I don't know much about his daughter, but by the look on her face, and I'm going to get to that next, by the look on her face, she's pretty damn embarrassed. And judging from the cheers when the father was moved off stage, I would take it that most of the individuals here don't agree with what he did, including his daughter, by the look on her face. And that brings me to my next point. Look at this girl's face. She does not look happy at all. She looks very embarrassed. She put her head down. That's a sign of embarrassment and shame. I mean, she did move her tassel to the other side. But she put her head down and she walked off stage looking sad. If in fact she was embarrassed and shamed by this act of her father, then he has just ruined the biggest day of his daughter's life to this point, and that's graduation. That's a very important moment in her life. I don't think any of us have to explain that. We understand the implications, and he just ruined this for her. I have a 6-year-old daughter. I wouldn't want to ruin a day like this for her. All I want to do is see a smile on her face. I'm sure this father wants to see a smile on his daughter's face, but what are you willing to let go of in order for her to have a happy day? That's the true question of a father. The last point I'm going to make: what if this happened to me? What if I was the superintendent? Who knows? I might get offered a superintendent job. I still work in education. I still have my foot in the door in that environment. What if I get offered a superintendent job and this happened to me? What if this happened to me? What if that man walked on stage and I probably wouldn't beat him, but I do know how to restrain pretty damn well, given my training in jiu-jitsu. And I wouldn't use the Muay Thai and the wrestling, but I would definitely lock his ass up. So, yeah, I would be the last person he'd bum rush the stage and tried to grab like that. And I'm not condoning violence. Attorney Session isn't condoning violence on this channel. I'm just saying don't touch me, right? You have no right to put your hands on me and move me off a stage, and that wouldn't happen with me. Yeah. Thank you guys for always tuning in. Please like and subscribe to the channel, to the page. You guys helped me get to over 1,000 subscribers, and I will never forget that. Thank you guys for all the help, and thank you guys for tuning in. Share the videos, share the page, and until next time, take it easy, my friends.
Let's go.